tasya yananjana shalakaya chakshurvamilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhutam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Deve Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate kirim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to today's ecstatic Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are going to read Canto 3, Chapter 20, entitled Conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. And we are going to read text number 8. Please read after me. Sūta Vacha Hare dhṛta-kroḍa-tanoḥ sva-māyayā niśamya guru uddharaṇaṁ rasātalāt līlāṁ hiraṇyākṣam avajñayā hataṁ sañjāta-harṣo munim bhārataḥ Sūta Vacha Hare dhṛta-kroḍa-tanoḥ sva-māyayā niśamya guru uddharaṇaṁ rasātalāt līlāṁ hiraṇyākṣam avajñayā hataṁ sañjāta-harṣo munim bhārataḥ Sūta Vacha Hare dhṛta-kroḍa-tanoḥ sva-māyayā niśamya guru uddharaṇaṁ rasātalāt līlāṁ hiraṇyākṣam avajñayā hataṁ sañjāta-harṣo munim bhārataḥ. Please. Sūta vāca harer dhṛta-kroḍa-tanoḥ sva-māyayā niśamya uddharaṇaṁ rasātalāt līlāṁ hiraṇyākṣam avajñayā hataṁ sañjāta-harṣo munim bhārataḥ. Sūta vāca harer dhṛta-kroḍa-tanoḥ sva-māyayā niśamya uddharaṇaṁ rasātalāt līlāṁ hiraṇyākṣam avajñayā hataṁ sañjāta-harṣo munim bhārataḥ. Vaishnavis. Sūta vāca harer dhṛta-kroḍa-tanoḥ sva-māyayā niśamya uddharaṇaṁ rasātalāt līlāṁ hiraṇyākṣam avajñayā hataṁ sañjāta-harṣo munim bhārataḥ. Word for word. Sūta vāca. Sūta said, hareḥ, of the Lord, dhṛta, who had assumed, kroḍa, of a boar, tanoḥ, body, sva-māyayā, by his divine potency, niśamya, having heard, gohu, of the earth, uddharaṇaṁ, uplifting, rasātalāt, from the bottom of the ocean, līlāṁ, sport, hiraṇyākṣam, the demon Hiraṇyākṣa, avajñayā, neglectfully, hataṁ, killed, sañjāta-harṣaḥ, being overjoyed, munim, to the sage Maitreya, aha, said, bhārataḥ, Vidura. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. Sūta Gosvāmī continued, Vidura, the descendant of Bharata, was delighted to hear the story of the Lord, who, having assumed by his own divine potency the form of a boar, had enacted the sport of lifting the earth from the bottom of the ocean and indifferently killing the demon Hiraṇyākṣa. Vidura then spoke to the sage as follows. Purport. It is stated here that the Lord assumed the form of a boar by his own potency. His form is not actually the form of a conditioned soul. A conditioned soul is forced to accept a particular type of body by the higher authority of material laws. But here it is clearly said that the Lord was not forced to accept the form of a boar by the external power. In Bhagavad Gita, the same fact is confirmed. When the Lord descends to this earth, he assumes a form by his own internal potency. The form of the Lord, therefore, can never consist of material energy. The Mayavada version that when Brahman assumes the form is accepted from Maya is not acceptable, because although Maya is superior to the conditioned soul, she is not superior to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She is under the control of the Supreme Godhead, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Maya is under his superintendence. Maya cannot overcome the Lord. The Mayavada idea that the living entity is a supreme absolute truth, but has become covered by Maya, is invalid, because Maya cannot be so great that it can cover the Supreme. The covering capacity can be employed on the part and parcel of Brahman, not on the Supreme Brahman. Please repeat the translation with me. Sūta Gosvāmī continued. Vidura, the descendant of Bhārata, was delighted to hear the story of the Lord, who, having assumed by his own divine potency the form of a boar, had enacted the sport of lifting the earth from the bottom of the ocean and indifferently killing the demon Hiraṇyākṣa. Vidura then spoke to the sage as follows. Hare Krishna. So from the universal point of view, today is the first day of the first month of Lord Brahma's 51st, 51st year. And this Varaha's pastime actually happened twice on this day. That's why today is also called the Shrita Varaha Kalpa. Every day of Lord Brahma has a name. So today the name of Brahma is named after Lord Varahadev. But actually Lord Varahadev's pastime of saving the earth happened twice on this same day. And it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, that is the first Varahadev. And Canto 2 actually mentioned the second one. And now in the Canto 3, this is during the conversation between Maitreya and Vidura. Maitreya is mixing these two and telling one story. And actually the first Lord Varahadev, he appeared from the nostril of Lord Brahma. That is the first Manvantar, Swayambhuva Manvantar. And then, at that time, actually, the earth is not populated so much. And then in the sixth Manvantar, Chakshusha Manvantar, Lord Varaha again appeared. Actually, the first Lord Varahadev, his skin color is dark blue, like a monsoon cloud. And the second one appeared in the sixth Manvantar. Actually, we are now in the seventh Manvantar, called now we are Vaivasvata Manvantar. But the previous one, the sixth one, that is Chakshusha Manvantar. At that time, Lord Varaha, he appeared like white color. It's like the moon. That's why today is called Shweta Varaha. Shweta is the white island. Actually, the whole Navadvip, the 9 islands, also located in part of that Shweta Dvip in the spiritual world. And usually the flood, like inundate everything, happened at the end of Manvantar. But then during the first Manvantar, Swayambhuva Manu was cursed by Agastya Muni. That's why during his reign, like the middle of his reign, the ruling, then it happened a flood. At that time, Lord Varahadev appeared and saved the earth. And then second time during Chakshusha Manvantar's ruling period, same thing happened. It is mentioned that Chakshusha Manvantar also was cursed similarly, like Swayambhuva Manu. But in another place, it is also mentioned it's Lord's own desire. He created this flood. He created this kind of situation. So he has this opportunity to save the earth from the causal oceans, from the universal water. And at that time, the second time, he's not coming from the nostril of Lord Brahma. He's coming from the universal water. And he saved the earth. And then he killed Hiraṇyākṣa. And it is mentioned very interestingly that here in the translation, it said, indifferently killing the demon Hiraṇyākṣa. Indifferently. That means the Lord is not even doing it for justice. He's playing. He's doing it indifferently. He just used one strike, and then he used his tongues, pierced the body of Hiraṇyākṣa, and Hiraṇyākṣa finished. And as we know, all the Lord's forms are eternal. And all of them had their own spiritual abodes. So this is something we should pay attention to. Because the Lord is different, and his abode is different than ours. We stay in this material world, which is temporary. But all the incarnation of the Lord, they're eternal. They exist eternally, and they all stay in the spiritual abodes. Actually, all the abodes in the spiritual world are the manifestation of the Lord's opulence. And even the demigods, it is mentioned that at the end of the ruling of each manvantar, that particular set of the demigods like Indra, like the other demigods and 7 sages, they would retire. They don't die immediately. Because at the end of the manvantar, including the earth, and also the lower planets are inundated by flood. And then Indra and the other major demigod, they go to Mahaloka. And from there, they go to Lord Brahma's, his Brahmaloka. So they have to vacate the Svargaloka. And it's very interesting because Rupa Gosvāmī mentioned in his Lagu Bhagavatamrita about this retirement of the demigods. And what they are doing, after they're retired, they will do harikatha, they will do kirtan, they will try to perfect their devotional service. When their devotional service is perfected, and then at the end of Lord Brahma's life, they can go back to Godhead, along with Lord Brahma. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned the Lord's form, and he has a form out of his own internal potency. So the form of the Lord can never consist of material energy. In Bhagavad Gita, we also know Jamma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yuveti Tattvata. So if we can understand the form, the birth, the activities of the Lord has transcendental nature, and then we also no need to take birth again in this material world. And it also happened today is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance day. So if we know that these sages, their appearance, and also the Lord's seemingly appearance in this material world has a mission, then we can try to understand the realm of transcendence. We can try to transcend our conditioning. Since it's also Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance day, so I would like to quote Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teachings to give some light on this purport. According to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, every one of us, as conditioned souls, we have twofold coverings. That means we have twofold of conditioning. Number one, the first type is our misidentification with our body. And then number two is the misidentification of Krishna. And according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the whole process of bhakti, the whole process of devotional service is by performing sadhana bhakti, and slowly we get rid of these two conditions, these twofold coverings, these twofold defects. And then we can see things as they are from the vision of the soul, from the pure vision. And actually the Lord, his body is transcendental. That means his body doesn't have the 18 great faults of human beings. The 18 great faults of human beings is mentioned by Sūta Gosvāmī in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The 18 faults are bewilderment, sleep, error means you would make mistakes, and then material attachment without prema, and material lust, which brings suffering. And then, as conditioned souls, we have other mistakes, like we have these mistakes like envy and violence and fickleness of the mind. We change our ideas from here to there. And also we have, we already mentioned envy. And then we used to become, like if we do something, we try very hard. That is called toil. And then we have exhaustion. And then we have this tendency of lying. And then anger, hankering, and worries. We're always worried about something. We worry something, oh, I want to get. But after getting, we're worried maybe we're losing it. And then we also have this absorption in material affairs. And we have this attitude of prejudice. Also, last, we have this dependency on others. Sometimes among devotees, we blame each other. You should do this, you didn't do this, you ruined everything. That's why I cannot complete the task, something like that. But on the Lord, because his body is transcendental, is composed of internal potency, so he doesn't have these 18 great human faults. But sometimes in Lord's himself, like Krishna, or on some of avatars, like Lord Rama, we can see the Lord also adopts some of these faults. But when he's showing such kind of faults, but it's not material, it's completely transcendental. This is our understanding. For example, the first one, bewilderment. When Brahma Vimohan Leela happened, Lord Brahma, he stole all the calves and all the cowherd boys. Little Krishna became completely bewildered. Where are the cows? And he's looking, cannot find the cows. And he went back to the bank of Yamuna. All his friends are also disappeared. Where are they? And he's perplexed. He's catching the yogurt rice and pickles, different pickles on his different fingers. And he's dripping from his fingers some liquid that mixed with yogurt, that kind of rice, and he's confused, bewildered. But his bewilderment is his great pleasure. And then, for example, another one, anger. One time, Krishna, he wake up and he wants to drink from Mother Yashoda's breast milk. But then Mother Yashoda is churning the butter, actually also for Krishna. And Krishna was very angry and catch the rod, the churning rod. No, I'm very stubborn. If you don't feed me, I'm angry. And really, and in this Damodar Leela, when Mother Yashoda went to the kitchen to save the overpouring milk from the fire, and Krishna used a stone, he break the pot. And he's showing his anger. But all these qualities are considered by the Vaishnavas as very excellent qualities. And it can inspire the devotee's love for Krishna. And also, like sometimes Krishna is called as a thief. Here, Chora Gopinath. But it's very interesting, when Krishna is stealing, everyone's praising him. No one's criticizing him. In Ramuna, in the police station, they have a big, like a banner. It's saying, Tira Chora Gopinath Police Station. Maybe in the whole world, this is the only police station named after a thief. So when Krishna is showing all this, it's in order to inspire the devotees to taste the super excellent sweetness of Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes, and then make devotees love him more. But if we are showing some kinds of these qualities, then we are finished. Nobody likes us. Everyone hates us, and even we hate ourselves. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, since actually there are many classes talking about his appearance. He appeared in Virnagar, in Krishnanagar, this year, and today it is announced in the Mongol Arti that it is 188th, but actually I calculated like minus the year of his birth, somewhere or other I calculate like 187, but anyway, only 1 year's difference. So it's 188 years ago he appeared. And there, I'm sure that many devotees, they would talk about how he appears, father, mother's name, and different. But today I would like to review his teachings. I would like to relish his supreme teachings with all of us. And also related to this purport, how can we break our bondage from this material world? How can we break our bondage of being identified with our body, with our own mind? We have to have some supreme knowledge. We have to understand that we are not this body. Usually, as conditioned souls, we are said that we have ahankar. And if we break the word ahankar into two parts, it means ahanta and mamata. Ahanta means I, and mamata means mine. So when we identify with ahanta and mamata, means I and mine, then whatever we get is repeated birth and death in this material world. And how to break it? That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, actually he revived the whole Vaishnava tradition. Mahaprabhu, when he appeared in the 15th century, and he propagated this great Sankirtan Yagya. At that time, not only in India, everything is flourishing. Even in the Europe, we know they have a phenomenon like Renaissance. Everything is flourishing all over the world. But after 250 years, like about 1750, that time everything declined. Mahaprabhu left, all the great devotees left, and the tradition of Vaishnavism declined. And people are like laughing at Vaishnavas. Even Narada Muni was depicted like a clown. If they have some drama, and then Narada Muni appeared just to make everyone laugh. He's not playing a spiritual role to enlighten people in general. So what to do? And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, although he's directly coming from the spiritual world, his eternal identity is Kamala Manjari. But he showed us a sadhaka, how he's cultivating this practice of sadhana bhakti, and slowly he reached perfection. He studied so many things. One time he was so much into Christianity, and also by reading all kinds of materials related to him, I found out even he read so much about the Asian Chinese philosophy, even like Confucius and Taoism, and also a lot of like Western philosophies. After researching all these systems of thoughts and all this system of explaining the nature of the world, then finally he confirmed by the touch of some sadhu sangha and by the touch of Vaishnava literatures, he decided actually the real life, a devotee's life. And he said some people are like gross materialists. Only after for sense gratification for the body, they're like animal. Whatever life they're living is not human life. And then another kind of person, they are also materialists, but they have some morality. So they're following some kind of codes, like basic human behavior. But that life is also not human life. And because this kind of moralists, they are not theists. They don't believe in God. And then third kind of person, they follow the like morality codes, and they are theists, but they are not so devoted. They didn't like establish Krishna as our ultimate goal of worship, and our real duty is to perform unalloyed devotional service to him. So this is a little better than the previous ones, but still not the best. And then the fourth kind of people is impersonalists. They are also transcendentalists, but they are trying to merge in the Brahman. They want to merge in the lights coming from the Lord. So all these four kinds of people, they are living not human life. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, only a devotee's life, that is real human life. A devotee's life means we have to perform devotional service. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in all kinds of his literatures, he emphasized the practice of sadhana. And as we know that from the beginning of the sadhana, from shraddha, we can step by step going to the perfection of prema. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is trying to illuminate what we are facing and eat better than yesterday. That means you made some offenses. And if you don't check at all if you are making advances or not, according to these different stages on the bhakti leading up to prema, that means it's going to take a long time for you to achieve perfection. And we can also see from different literatures, Srila Prabhupada is trying to introduce us Krishna. Finally, he wants to introduce us, he wants to establish Krishna as a spiritual form. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we can look back at Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned the Lord's opulences. Why Krishna is like taking so much time to explain to Arjuna, I am this, I am that, showing all kinds of opulences. At that time, Prabhupada, in this purport, he's explaining to us, because most of the people in this world are materialists. And then what is the most important thing for them is opulence. So that's why Krishna is showing, I am this, I am that, and then is showing all his vibhutis, all his opulences. What is the purpose? To attract the conditioned souls, all the materialists, to be attracted to the path of real religion. And then we can see, starting from Bhagavatam, when Bhagavad Gita ends, that's the starting of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam, up to the third canto, is still talking about the different incarnations of the Lord. Actually, in the material world, the Lord's incarnation has three types. He has Purusha avatars, and he has Guna avatars, and he has Lila avatars. Now we're talking about his Lila avatars. And then, after studying the whole 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, when one gets self-realization, that time, in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna would be revealed to us as he is, the Samasundara Krishna with 2 arms, and so sweet as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and performing all kinds of attractive pastimes. And interestingly, that Srila Prabhupada, when he went to the West for preaching, his health is not good. He doesn't know how long he's going to live. So, actually, according to the time schedule, this Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, it was published in 1974. But then before that, Srila Prabhupada in 1970, he published the book, Krishna book. It's also called Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And although the book is published in 1970, but actually Prabhupada completed the book 1 year ago. And 1 year he spent, what to do? To request Samasundara Prabhu to ask the Beatles, especially George Harrison, to sponsor the publication of the book. Please think about it, more than 55 years ago. And Prabhupada is asking Samasundara Prabhu to ask $19,000 US from George Harrison. That's a lot of money. And Samasundara Prabhu is hesitating. Why he delayed for almost a year? Until what happened? Prabhupada came from America, directly fly to London and meet with him, and again request him, and calling him to his room and showing, this is Krishna book, what kind of stories inside, and then there are so many beautiful pictures, illustrations related with all the stories, and make him become interested and make him understand this is a mission of my spiritual master somewhere or other, even as a risk of completely ruined our friendly relationship with the Beatles. I should ask. And when actually Srila Prabhupada, on his, actually we can see he's showing the perfect qualities of devotee in bhava and prema. Because one kind of such symptom is ashabandha, means a hope against a hope. Hope against a hope is the wording used by Srila Prabhupada in the Nectar of Devotion. And in Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami directly translated this hope against a hope, actually ashabandha, as confidence. It means confidence. If a devotee is on the state of bhava, then he has such kinds of confidence that Krishna would help him. Krishna would help him to conquer all the obstacles in his life. So he assured Samasundar Prabhu, you please go. You meet with Beatles, with George Harrison, and I guarantee Krishna would help you. Because he's very hesitating. What shall I do? And he's thinking all these things should be the work of the BBTs or the big disciples like Brahmananda. Why asking me? I'm just making some Jagannath deities and trying to establish London temple. And why George Harrison is treating us differently than all the others? Why he didn't shut off the door to us? Because we're different than others. We never ask him for anything. And the occasion that Srila Prabhupada asked him to ask George Harrison to give this big sum of money to publish is because that time that George Harrison just offered, for your new temple in London, I would like to buy a lot of beautiful and expensive marbles. And on the day that Samasundar was invited by George Harrison to go to the marble place to choose which one is most beautiful and doesn't matter how much it costs, Prabhupada asked him, you tell him, ask for this money. Of course, it happened. And he asked, actually that night when they're chatting, and he's thinking, if I'm not asking now, and then never, so he asked. And immediately he saw George's face become like very, very serious, very solemn. Then he's thinking, oh, finished. From now he would ask me to get out of this room and never talk with me, and our relationship is finished. Just at that time, Krishna arranges the low sitting, electricity gone off, and there's a big thunderbolt. And after that, very soon electricity came back. And suddenly George Harrison showed a smile on his face. He said, how much? $19,000 US. Okay. And that night he didn't even take a rest. And he's driving with a rented car back to the place that Srila Prabhupada was staying. And he saw, although it's after midnight, the light in Srila Prabhupada's room is still on. And he came inside, and Prabhupada is welcoming him with a smile. It seems like Prabhupada knew it's going to happen. And he reported, yes. he promised he will give the money. And we have to reflect these timelines. Why Srila Prabhupada did this? Because he was thinking, if I cannot finish the complete translation and commentary of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but I want my disciples, I want to show the whole world, Krishna is a person, and he's a supreme person, and his body is not material, his body is completely spiritual. So he's thinking, before I die, I should give this, I should reveal this truth, the spiritual realm, the spiritual līlās to the whole world. That's why in 1970 he first published this. And then he went back, continued his masterpiece, his life's mission, again back to the translation and commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can see there is an order that's from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, slowly, Krishna, he's introducing himself to us. And we can also see our Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON, how he's so much eager to establish Krishna's transcendental form inside our hearts. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's also reviving the whole spiritual culture. And when we mention about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we have to talk about his major contributions. And one of his major contributions is the revelation of the Holy Dham, especially Sri Dham Mayapur. In 1890, that year, he published Navadevita Mahatmya, the book he wrote in Krishnanagar, but he published that time, and in that book, that is Lord Nityananda is leading Sūta Gosvāmī to do parikrama over the 9 different islands, also intertwined with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's own parikrama. But Lord Nityananda, he specifically told Sūta Gosvāmī, he said, Sridham Mayapur is the most important place among all the holy places. Why? Because Panchatattva are eternally seated here. Panchatattva, just downstairs. For all the devotees online, please don't have any regret. You can always have live darshan on Mayapur TV. And because Panchatattva eternally seated here, that's why among all the holy places, this is the most important holy place. And the Sridham Mayapur, the landmark of this place is Yogapith. It's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he found this place again. Because after Mahaprabhu's disappearance, and the Ganges also changing her course, all the places of pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became lost. And then, actually that was in 1887. That year, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was 49 years old. Although he is a very standard devotee, following everything. We know 50 years old, you should become vanaprastha or maybe taking sannyas. And he was thinking, he was reflecting, maybe now is time for me to retire. So he wrote a letter to the British government. He wants to resign from his post. But because he's so talented, and the British government, they refused his resignment. And also he got more job offers from other places. And they promised him a very, very promising salary, but he wants to refuse. And he was discussing with his best friend. And that time he was thinking, okay, I'll go to Vrindavan. I'll stay with my best friend, and the whole day we're chanting the Lord's holy name, and we discuss Krishna Katha. And this way, maybe I can perfect my life. What kind of humble mentality he has. Even before he's 49 years old, if we go to the Swarup Ganj and just in Godruma-dvīp, crossing this river, we can see in the Surabi Kunj, his own house, inside the room, there's a daily schedule of him. And he's not spending much time for sleeping or recreation. Most of the time he's writing literatures, and as a government judge, magistrator, and one time he was also responsible for all the management of Jagannath Temple. He's chanting 64 rounds every day, and he's maintaining 13 children. Nowadays, most of the devotees have 1 or 2, and even 1. I have many friends, they have only 1 children, give them such a big headache. And think about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has to maintain 13 children. And he wrote so many books, and he did so many things. Still he's thinking, I wasted my life. I don't have any taste for chanting for Krishna's pastimes. I should resign. I should give up everything, the position, salaries. I choose a simple place to stay. And then the whole day I can spend relishing Krishna's name and his pastimes. But then somehow or other, the government, the representative is discussing with him. They make a compromise. So finally he was located in Krishnanagar. They gave him order in 1887. He should go to his post in Krishnanagar not after November 15th. It means November 15th is the last day he should report to his new post, new assignment. But starting from that, exactly from that time, he developed a high fever. And he was so sick, he almost lost his life. And continuously for 45 days, he cannot eat anything. Only by drinking little milk for 45 days. And he's like somehow or other is living like that. But then he wrote in his autobiography what he wrote. He's experiencing so much trouble. He said, sometimes I think a lot of obstacles are good. Are we thinking like that? When I had a lot of pressures, obstacles, I'm thinking, oh, I'm finished. I am overwhelmed. How can I continue? Please, Guru and Krishna Mahaprabhu, give me some special mercy and relieve me. He's not asking that. He said, sometimes a lot of obstacles, that is a very good thing. He's thinking he's very fortunate. And somewhere or other, after 45 days, he's little recovered. And then, along with his wife, he took a train coming to Navadvip. And it is mentioned that after he got off the train, just standing on the land of holy Navadvip, and he's using his eyes, looking all directions of Navadvip, he's feeling a divine atmosphere, and all the hairs on his body is standing on ends. And then, starting from that time is Christmas vacation. From that time, every Saturday, he would come to Navadvip. He feels like he has a mission, because there's something happened before he coming to Krishnanagar. He was thinking about going to Vrindavan, but then he had a dream. In his dream, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally revealed to him, now is not time for you to go to Vrindavan. You will go to Vrindavan, that is for sure, but you have something else. You have to complete that task, then you can go to Vrindavan. And that task given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is to recover his birthplace. And so he was trying to come and to discover on every Saturdays. And in one such occasion, actually on 2 consecutive occasions, he had this divine vision. He was staying in Navadvip in a dharmashala called Rani Dharmashala. That place, Gorkishore Das Babaji spent a long time to do bhajan. He was staying there, and on the roof of that dharmashala, he had continuously 2 consecutive weekends, Saturday nights, and he saw a golden palace, a big mansion flooding with lights. So he called it Adbhuta, like Adbhuta Mandir, means the wonderful temple. Of course, we have our own Adbhuta Mandir. It's coming up very soon. And so in one of such Saturdays, he's carrying his son, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at that time she was only 13 years old, and with one of his clerks. So 3 of them, they went on the roof, and they were seeing toward one direction, and he saw such a big mansion, a big palace, full of lights. And he's asking his son, did you see it? And his son said, yes. And he asked his clerk, did you see it? And the clerk said, no, I didn't see anything. And the next day, on Sunday, during the daytime, he again looking that direction, and he saw there's a palm tree, a tall tree, and on foot he is researching that places. And we can see that Thakur Bhaktivinoda, when he is revealing the holy Dham, it's not only by his some magic vision, only by his like superhuman experiences, but he's also checking with sastras and sadhus. He was doing a lot of research on the previous acharyas' books, like Chaitanya Bhagavat, Bhakti Ratnakar, and also a book about Navadvip Parikrama, Sri Navadvip Parikrama Padati. And also because he is like a government officer, using that kind of privilege, he found out some old maps, and he was looking, and on foot he found out that place is called Baladigi, just over there. And on the Asian map, he found out actually what is now called as Baladigi in that Asian map is marked as Sri Mayapur. And before it belongs to the Lakshman Sen dynasty. And Lakshman Sen dynasty is ruling the whole Gauradesh. And they changed their capital. Before in another place, and then after they moved their capital to Navadvip. So he confirmed this is the place. This is called Sri Mayapur. This is on the eastern bank of the Ganges. This is the place of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace. And when he confirmed by the different like Bhakti Sastras and also with the government registered Asian maps, then he wants to have some spiritual confirmation. So he invited Srila Jagannath Das Babaji. At that time, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj was over 120 years old. He cannot move by himself. Even wants to see something, somebody has to open his eyelids and use like magic sticks to support his eyelids for him to see something. And so he was carried by his servants on the basket, on the head, coming to this place. But as soon as Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj reached this place, he jumped out of his basket and jumping in the air and started dancing and jumping and singing and said, "This is the birthplace of Lord Nimai. This is the birthplace of Lord Nimai." And so this is also giving spiritual confirmation of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's research. This is very, very important because after that, after 5 years of discovering this place, at that time, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj also pointed out the place where the mridangas are broken by the followers of Chankazi. That means the location of Srivas Angam. And after 5 years, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he established a sabha, means a committee, that is called a Sri Mayapur Pracharini Sabha or committee. The Pracharini means a restoration project. So after 5 years discovering Yogapith, making a landmark in our whole Gaudiya Vaishnava history, and he founded this organization to develop Sridham Mayapur. And then after 31 years, because this is the recorded lectures I could find of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, talking about the contribution, the unique contribution of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. That is in 1926, March 24. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, whenever we are together and we're talking about restoring the holy Dham and developing Sri Mayapur Dham, we must mention about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur because it is due to his extraordinary endeavor. He revealed the Dham to us, and as his followers, it is our duty to follow him, to get rid of different like all ball, Saki Beki, Gauranga Nagari, all kinds of Apasampradayas. We should establish the cult of Lord Chaitanya Deva. We should establish the path of real religion, and then we have to continue to serve to the holy Dham. By residing in the holy Dham is kind of service. And also by preaching is also kind of service. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he mentioned in one of his famous book, Sri Godruma Kalpatavi, he said, actually we have to go out and preach as the humble representatives of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar, Srivas. And yeah, we have to become humble representatives of the Panchatattva. And this book, Sri Godruma Kalpatavi, actually is coming from another magazine from the Gaudiya Math. It is called a Gaudiya Patrika. And it's very interesting. Our own Srila Prabhupada, our ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, before he was the president of this magazine, he was the president of this Gaudiya Patrika, and he included 4 issues of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's articles talking about how to develop Namahata. And later on, Srila Japataka Gosvāmī Maharaj, he translated and commented on this, the 4 issues. And in that book, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, all of us we have to become humble representatives of Sri Panchatattva. And according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, every one of us, that means every single devotee, is considered as an employee of Namahata. the market of the holy name, inaugurated by Lord Nityananda Prabhu himself. And in order to represent Panchatattva in a humble way, how we can become humble? We have to be very tolerant. And how can we become tolerant? Just like doctors treating patients. And if the doctor is not tolerant, then the treatment cannot take much effect. The patient maybe kick you, the patient maybe abuse you, but we have to tolerate everything. Then we have to become humble. That is the instruction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Trinadapi sunichina, taroiva saheshnuna, amanina manadena kirtanya sada harer. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said, when we are chanting, actually, what is the symptoms of our chanting becomes perfect? What is the very symptom that when our chanting is relieved from all offenses? That is when we reach the stage described by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the third item of Shikshastakam. When we become like this, like a grass, like a tree, and then at that time we become free from all our offenses. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also instructs us that actually when we are chanting, the sadhana for chanting, the result is bring the whole revelation of the holy Dham. If we achieve the perfection of our chanting, and the chanting is something that we should always try to cultivate. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said that chanting the Lord's holy name is the practice that every one of us should practice as much as possible. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila, chapter 4, verse 71, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing Sanatana Gosvāmī, and he mentioned, Mahaprabhu said, among the 9 angas of bhakti, the most important one is the chanting of the holy name. The most important one. And as we know, Srimati Radharani, he created this Navadvip, 9 islands, for the pleasure of Sri Krishna. And she made the 9 devotional service embodied in this material world. She made this manifestation for us so we can become more easily related to the pure devotional services to the Lord. And then, among all the 9 islands, Godrumadvip represents the anga of chanting the holy names, Kirtanam. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he made his residence in Godrumadvip. And in Surabhikund, he wrote so many books and explaining how important is the chanting of the holy name. Because when we are covered by this ahanta and mamata, I and mine, and then actually there's so much to say. We can even divide from sadhu sangha, that one particle of faith, and then how it evolves when we get more sadhu sangha, and then slowly sadhu sangha, we study scriptures in the association of devotees, and then we start to practice bhajana kriya, and we experience anishtita bhajana kriya, and then nishta. Before that, we have to experience anartha nivritti, and then ruchi, and asakti, and then bhava, and then prema. And in all these different procedures, there's so many interesting details would happen. For example, and it is mentioned that when you're evolving from a lower stage to the higher stage, your spiritualization, your spiritual consciousness will becoming more and more prominent. The spiritual consciousness of this I and my becomes more and more diminished. So actually that part is so interesting, but no time to analyze. But most important thing is we have to remember all these different steps are explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And why he's doing this? He's trying to show us the path and trying to show us the goal. By our daily sadhana, actually we can achieve the goal of prema. And then we can really understand the Lord's appearance. This body is not material, it's spiritual. And then we can also getting rid of this gross identification with our body and subtle identification with our mind. So all glories to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all glories to Sri Dham Mayapur, Gaura Pramanande, Hari Hari Bo, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I'm really sorry, it's like overtime. Maybe questions we can answer in a private way. Hare Krishna, thank you for your patience.